Damnig.
Do what?
Damnig.
Yeah, damning. I didn't. I started. Well, obviously, imagine I started to put damn, and then I thought, no, maybe I better just say dang. Didn't spell out that way. So I had to go back and realize.
So now we know.
Now you know. Hey, good morning, Tina.
Now we know that occasionally you might curse.
Hey, okay.
Like all the other men I grew up with, they might just say a cuss word every now and again.
Oh, Tina, you don't think you'll save me? You don't think you'll save me one? I wish I could get my wife to go get us some donut. You know what? We don't have a good donut shop in this town. Brenda and I were thinking the other day, might could be a hell of a place for a donut shop.
Morning, Tina.
I mean, a good donut shop. You can get them at the Walmart. You can probably get them at the Food City, but I don't know. They're never that fresh, and I don't know. I don't like them as well. Actually, the best place there to get a donut is a little store called Weigel's, but there's not one here. Good morning, Miss Carol.
Good morning, Miss Carol. What's stitch mouth mean?
Well, that means that after yesterday,
you got stitches
with a mouthful of stitches.
You do?
Yeah. Snitches are for stitches. What did I say? Stitches are for snitch. Yeah, I know. I broke a damn tooth a few days ago, or late last week, man. I don't know what day it was now. Cracked it, and it split like a fissure in the earth. And didn't have much choice but to get it yanked out. And while I were at it, they went ahead and prepared it. I may have a stud put in that one for two, so I don't have to have no more teeth. I got to get, as usual, I don't have them with me. I need to put my front teeth in more often.
You need to get you one of them gold grills like I saw one of the American Olympians had, like
a grill. I don't get them things. I don't
know if it was just cosmetic or if they had.
Some of them snap in. I've been told, but I think they have been known to have them put in. I thought about just getting me a great big wide gold for the front and all the way across there. Maybe have
saving up for it. You've been saving up for it.
I have been. I haven't got there yet. And maybe you could put a different size hole and say each end and use your tongue to cover it and make it down like a harmonica, built for sure. And you could blow through it and make good whistling sound.
Gonna leave a gap right there in the middle. That's where we're gonna put that. I'm the man for you, Charlene.
Yeah, Carol, I guess it's starting to. I have to admit, I hate to go to the dentist, and God Almighty, it costs a lot of money. But the one I've got right now that's doing my dentist he don't pull teeth anymore. He told me the other day, he said, I've outgrown that. I'm too old for that. He said, there's young men out there that can yank teeth now. I don't do it. I thought, well, you lazy shit. But anyway, he sent me to somebody else, and I've had, unfortunately, done business with them a couple of times the last couple of years, obviously. And I'll have to admit, they do, once they're in and out of there, they do. I don't usually have any problems with them. I've had teeth pulled in the past that ended up giving me nothing but trouble. Dry sockets and that kind of. And if you ain't ever had a dry socket in your mouth, it is miserable. It hurt. Oh my God! I had to pack that thing. That got. I guess he was an older dentist, but I liked him, but I didn't go back. I didn't go back to him after this. But he pulled one of my teeth, and it developed a dry socket like a couple of days after he pulled it. He said, well, come back in here. Let me look, make sure you know what's going on. And what he did was he put something up in it. and it was clove. It was soaked. It was like a string soaked in clove oil. And if you've ever had clove oil in your mouth or used it for other, it's good. You can kill fish with it. But you pack it up in there like that, and it'll help that heal, and it'll, I guess, keep you from sucking air through it so you don't get a dry socket. And I had to keep that in there for a week at least, and it would come out, and I'd have to pack it back up in there myself, which isn't the most fun thing in the world you've ever done, just in case you haven't tried to try it. And the other thing is, after about a week of having a clove oil soaked string up in your tooth hole, it tends to leave a taste that lasts quite a long time to get rid of. Cloves can be pretty strong. You remember having the there's a clove. It's kind of like
that goddamn chewing gum.
Yeah, chewing gum. It was clove.
It was awful.
It was like that, only stronger. What was it? What was
there
it?
Was three, there was 3 flavors. Back in the day when my POW grandpa was dragging me and the other boys to the bar with him, they had 3 flavors of chewing gum in there, and it was clove and black something,
which
like
is licorice,
like black licorice. But it was the same company. They were kind of like Wrigley's, only they made chewing gum that tasted like the south end of a northbound mule.
Might have been Beeman's in the movie in the book.
The right stuff.
You always got a stick of Beeman's on you. Whatever his mechanic's buddy's name is.
And Carol just said, I love that clove gum, and it was Beeman's.
Yeah, okay. I think
Blackjack, Tina, you're right. Blackjack was the other one. And then there was a third one, and I can't remember for the life of me what it was.
All little country stores around home, I always had those.
Yeah, I mean, you had your one display that had juicy fruit and spearmint and what was the white one? Juicy fruit was the yellow package, and then there was a green package that was spearmint, and then there was a white one. And
maybe it was just peppermint. I can't remember.
Those were the Wrigley's flavors, and then you had and then right next to that display would be that Beeman's display with blackjack and clove gum and all that gross stuff.
Double mint was green. Spearmint was white.
Double mint was green. That's right. I used to love the twins. Double your flavor, double your fun.
I was sitting here trying to think of the same words. I was trying to remember how that went.
I was just a little boy. Mom said, we're living in a trailer park on a Marine Corps base somewhere. I'd hear that come on the TV on our like 10-inch black and white set, and I'd just come running in.
Oh, Carol, people used to make those. I think Brenda.
Oh yeah,
had a big long one of those around her room.
I remember people making them.
Speaking of, I need
folding those gum wrappers up and folding them and folding them and folding them and
then you bend them,
braiding them into each other. You probably could have pulled a tractor with that chain when it was done.
That, and if you're old enough to remember this, bottle top, the old bottle top that came off with pull tab. And you ended up with a little ring and then a piece of hook to the end of it that was flexible. It seems like we'd take that.
Oh yeah, and you
and
fold
hook it,
that,
make
you fold
chainmail.
that deal in the ring, and then keep going and keep going.
Yeah, kind of like a chain out of that too. Maybe chainmail, cheap poor man's chainmail or country kids chainmail. You remember how exciting it was when you got an unusual wrapper.
I have a bad feeling we're all dating ourselves.
Maybe just a tiny bit.
Can you imagine a kid today doing that just for fun? I can't.
Yeah, because you remember can tabs, Tina, and you had two. And back, I remember there was two general options for that tab. Either they just got tossed out on the ground, which is much to the chagrin of many a metal detecting person now when they dig a hole in the ground and all they find is a pull tab. But the other thing we used to do is I did this anyway. I'd take them and kind of fold that flat piece over on the ring, and then I'd just stick it right back in the can. And when the can was empty, it'd be rattling around in the bottom. And some people said they had trouble not swallowing it, but I never had that problem. I guess I just filtered through my teeth. I don't know. I never had it pop up. I always figured it was metal. It'd sink to the bottom of the can. Well, I wasn't going to get that. And then
what I remember about those cans is bees.
Oh yes, well, if you're in the right place, bees are a
Just
problem.
like
Anyway,
you'd take a big old swallow of Pepsi Cola or something, and
yeah, it had more bite to it than
maybe
you
you
remember.
get you a bee in the.
Yeah, and you not most of likely 97% of the chances it's going to be a yellow jacket.
Yeah, exactly.
He's by that time going to be really mad, and he's going to commence to bite and
He's
sting.
going to like fire you up.
I remember several kids that had fat lips.
Still can't believe my wife's never been stung by any kind of bee. I'm like, heck, we used to eat them, or I mean, we used to get them.
Not on purpose, mind you.
Not on purpose, but I always wished I was like my dog. I could just wade into a nest of yellow jackets and eat the nest.
You had a dog do that?
Yeah, you remember Gypsy? She was like a bear with bees. She loved bee nests.
Bears love them. I know that. I've walked up behind many a dugout yellow jacket's nest right behind the bear, I think, in the woods. Because you could always, if they were still swarming around it, that's usually a good sign it hadn't been long. But they love to eat those grubs, I guess, eat the whatever you call them, pupa, larval or pupal stage in that nest. They just, I guess that's a delicacy for them.
Are you getting smoke back there?
Me, us, not
Any of you?
Oh well, yeah. Is anybody else getting smoke in your? Mark was just. We started out this discussion talking about
it's terrible here.
Smoke and the atmosphere out there. He said he's having some hard times breathing and such. And it's not. I don't think we've had any. We had a little bit. Seems like we had just a little bit early in the year, and that might have been out of Canada if they had any. But we haven't had any bad yet. I guess if it keeps going, it can affect us. It does get that bad sometimes.
The whole West Coast is on fire right now. So
yeah, making up for.
Well, I mean, pretty much their whole states are on fire.
Yeah, there's some big fires going on.
Miss Kay, good morning.
Good morning, Miss Kay. Somebody else said, Tina said our veterans organization used to collect for money donations. I guess metal producers paid for them.
Oh, the tabs.
Oh, the tabs. Oh, I don't know if I knew that or not. People they used to something else we used to save for that same sort of person. I've been bottle tops, which is another thing you don't have now. Good old metal bottle tops caps.
Our sunrise this morning was redder than that. I don't know if you guys see that live tab up at the corner there. I don't know what everybody gets to see, but the sun was redder and darker than that. It was gross.
Well, yeah, it's same color as on. They would see the YouTube logos there, and it's bright red. It's the same color as that.
Just
Red sky at night, red sky in the morning. I guess they'll have to be mighty cautious today.
you could look at the sun a long time this morning, no effects.
Yeah, Carol, people used to do all kinds of stuff like that. A little bit later on in my life, when I had high school age children, they got to do some kind of a paper drive, but they got to keep part of the money for the band. So the band kids would have to show up at local malls and other shopping centers where people lined up at 3 a.m., to get the Black Friday sales. And they would bring in they'd stand outside and sell newspapers. They were kind of like, for us, a Sunday paper, big thick paper, for all the coupons and all the store sales and everything that was going on. Of course, that day's about gone now. But we'd have to roll them kids out of bed and have them down there like at 4:30 or 5 o'clock, which didn't, high school kids weren't really into that. It was fun. And then that's when kind of how Brenda and I got in for a little while. We'd do that. And then sometimes we'd go shopping. Not the lines. We weren't going to stand in the lines, but we'd just kind of go out there and brush shoulders with people, I guess. But it was hard doing getting the girls up. Good morning, Dave, Space Mountain Dave Cantrell. You're here so we can party. I'm glad when you show up, I meant to ask you, though, when you come in for party time, are you bringing anything, flavors or drinks? Are you helping with the party? Who always had Casey? We used to have paper. My dad. I don't know what your dad did with paper. I was a paper boy for a while. I carried a lot of papers. Saw a lot of paper. Tossed a few papers. Collected for papers. God, I used to hate to collect. Every Friday, I'd have to start going out and collecting for papers. It's funny, back then, you could get a month's worth of newspapers every day of the week for, about $2 or something. I mean, it was cheap, and people still didn't want to pay, after you went out there in the rain and snow. Brought them their paper, made sure it didn't get wet, probably howdy waved at them if someone didn't come Friday. No, I don't want to pay their 59 cents for the paper this week. Kind of aggravating. Never able to get donuts. Think Mike beats me to them. But Mike may have the whole world donut thing askew because supplying him up there is probably causing people down this way to ship donuts in that direction. You know how it goes. It's like
He's become the donut czar.
The donut czar. And I'd like to have I think I could eat a donut right now. I'd like to have a donut. Man, I screwed up last night and then about thought I was going to wet the bed. So Brenda, of course, I came home and couldn't eat. Haven't had any solid food since then. I just had some tapioca pudding. That's what I was eating when you came in. But last night I told Brenda, I said, I'd like to have, we have a watermelon. And we got from some guy off the side of the road the heaviest watermelon I've ever seen. I mean, it was big as a basketball, probably bigger than the ones they had in the store, but I don't think I've ever seen a watermelon that size. Brenda and I couldn't hardly pick it up. I mean, I had to roll it through the hall. I couldn't lift the damn thing. But anyway, she brought me some into the bedroom, and I was laying on the end of the bed and watching TV or something. We were watching something anyway, and all of a sudden I went, yeah! She said, what's the matter? And a piece of that watermelon was just the right shape, and it jammed up in my gap there. Right up in there amongst the stitches and the tenderness, and got me all fired up. And it was just a piece of watermelon. Wasn't even that. I mean, it wasn't like it was all that firm at that point. Now we're talking about something about school. Tim, the school days. Shared when we showed it. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, you selling donuts? What were they selling? He did insulation. Oh, did insulation. Okay. Yes, I pulled that paper off too. They used to roll stuff up in that.
There's Mike.
Well, Mikey, go ahead. Where? I don't see him. Oh, there. Go ahead and hand them out, Mike. We'll wait.
He's got the donut logo on right there on his deal.
He just does that to.
Good morning, Dave.
Tantalize the rest of us.
Kindly wipe the donut crumbs off your face.
Good one, Carol. At least if he does that, at least it wouldn't
It's
make it.
going to be one of those days, I see.
I guess so. I'm not sure what kind of day it's going to be. I've got some stuff,
I still think he and Ian are the same guy. We've been missing Ian for a while again.
And seen Ian again in a couple of weeks now, and we'll see how long it is. I have to see if does Ian ever talk about donuts. I don't think so.
Yeah, but that's just a subterfuge.
Well, that's what I mean.
Is that a word?
Yeah, it is. But I think that's what it means too. We could look it up. Words
like a snake. Words mean things. Like a sneaky thing.
I might have to put that on my logo.
I'm throwing you off the scent.
I might have to put that in my tagline on Saturday Morning Shine. Words are important.
I don't remember what we were talking about the other day that words were important.
Oh, well, several things have come up in the past.
You and I were just like a week ago. We were talking.
And I made up a word a few days ago, and we were driving in the car, and Brendan and I were listening to a podcast.
And you can't remember what it was because you never did tell me.
I couldn't get stopped fast enough to find something. I was in traffic in town, Morristown. I said, write that down. I said, I just made that word up. Because Brendan's all the time saying, where'd you learn that, or where'd you get that idea? And I said, I just made it up. She doesn't believe how kidneys, man. I make stuff up all the time.
Kidneys.
I'll tell her something, and I'll say, that's just like so-and-so doing and whatever. She said, where'd you ever hear that? And I said, I just made it up. I just now said it. I said, it's a new thing. Repeat.
That's where I heard it.
Hang on just a minute. I just saw her. I saw her outside. I saw her reflection in the window. Bear with me. Well, I don't know where she went. I thought she might be going to bring me something, to eat, like soggy biscuits with gravy or something I could chew. Oh, that sounds good right now. I'm going to talk to her about that. Something besides soup. Anyway, it's been that kind of week. So I got we kind of had this idea for a show, and I started putting it together actually a couple of days ago, but then this two things had me all discombobulated. And last night, well, let's see, I had to be up at dark 30 Thursday morning to go to the doctor. That wasn't too bad. I just had to be there by noon. But from here, that's a 2-hour or better drive because we're still seeing dentists down there until we find somebody. And of course, he said, "Well, you're going to have to get it pulled, and I'll write you up to go where you want to go." And we talked about that. He said, "You never know." He said, "School's starting. It might be a good time to get an appointment. Everybody's in school. They have spaces." And so, sure enough, I went up to the front desk and we talked about it up there, and they called the dentist and they said, yeah, we can get you in tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. And Brenda looked at, and Brenda, when I told Brenda, she wasn't too happy because that meant we had to get up really early and leave here. So for 2 nights and days there, I didn't get a lot of sleep and didn't get a whole hell of a lot today for that matter. But so last night when I was trying to finish up the show, I hit a wall and just went, just like I was going along here, and suddenly I couldn't do anything else. And this morning it's about the same way. So you're going to get part of the show and just bear with the rest of it. And if we run out of actual show topics, we'll just chase a few squirrels. I put a couple of warnings in there for that. But I told everybody I was going to start the morning off with something different for me. And
I have no idea what we're talking about.
well, I got something in the mail from that my wife bought me. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay, well I'm gonna pull up I'm gonna try to present my screen here so you guys can see me see what I'm. Oh, wait a minute, I don't have to. Well, no, I got something I want to show. No, I don't want to do that yet. Never mind. Let me cancel that. We'll get to that in a minute. But so I got this in the mail.
Focus, grasshopper. Focus.
Got this in the mail. See,
That looks.
and what can it be? You might say.
That's a suspicious looking.
It looks like from your side of the camera, it probably looks like a box, but to my well-learned fingertips, which happen to have X-ray eyeballs,
there's a book in there.
I've determined this might be a book. So this is to officially let everybody know Brenda has ended the ban on books here, and I can now get books again. She bought me this one. So let's see what it is. I know that it's used, as in it might be old, antique, kind of like to collect. So we'll see here in just a minute. And I'll tell you one thing. Whoever wrapped this up knew what they were doing wrapping wise. They must do this at Christmas as a profession, maybe. Well, it's green, or maybe that's more paper. Wow, they got it wrapped in something else. I do like the fact that I can tell that this is recycled.
Cash Lake Country.
Recycled paper, which is good. I like to use mine over too. God dang it. I'll tell you what, they use better packing tape than I've got. Mine usually rips better, easier now. Okay, one layer removed. So now it's green. Now what we got is a book that looks like it's green. Anybody want to guess what it is? Can you tell by?
Turn it around. Quit moving it around. No, do the other way. Flip it back over. Now they're upside down. I can't tell.
All right, well, let's just get a little closer here. I cannot tell a lot. I have a general idea what it is, but I don't remember the actual title. And I think you are going to think it's cool, and I can't be responsible if it floats.
Where did you get
kind of craving on you?
Dog, you're soaking wet. How did you get wet? Is it raining?
My God, I know. I am happy that they wanted to take good care of my new book, but Jiminy Christmas, they must have 100 feet of plastic wrap on here. That's not very eco-friendly. Not like the brown paper. I think the brown paper would have been just about enough. God damn! I may have to mute the sound because I'm about to get to that.
You're
point.
about to get aggravated. I can tell.
I'm just about to get to that. I'm going to show you that I'm going to open it from the back side first And let's see if anybody
So
can guess
hold
it.
that up so we can see it. Quit moving it around.
Well, I got to get it unwrapped now. Now, any idea?
That looks like Ernest Thompson seating to me.
Well, how would you know that?
Huh?
That's what it is. And look at the rest of it, though. Look, the front of the book. Can you see it all?
Oh, cool.
I need to turn. I got maple bacon on here for some reason. I need to get rid of that so it's not covering the screen up.
Don't that purty.
Yeah, and this book was written.
I don't think I've even seen that.
I didn't think you had. She found this. I don't think I have either.
You just wrote it, didn't you?
It's a new one. This was a book of the notes and extracts from the life and unpublished journals of Ernest Thompson Seton by his daughter Julia.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
And I knew his daughter finished up some of the stuff he was doing. And this is one of them things. So this is a book. Now, I hadn't been inside it yet, obviously. It used to belong to the Georgetown Community Library in New York, Tina. Georgetown, New York. Let's see what's in the back. Oh, looky here. It's even got a card in it. This book was.
Who was the last person to check it out?
That's what I was getting ready to say. This was in the Georgetown Community Library, Georgetown, New York. Has a card. The card is dated 7/24, July 24th, 1969.
That's the last time it was checked out.
The one, according to this, the one and only time, maybe. Of course, they might have replaced the card.
Does it say who it was?
E. Ogden. E.Ogden. So if anybody knows the E. Ogden and they're still alive, let's ask them. Let's see here. Let's see what's in here. Oh, he's got instructions here on building something. Let's see what that is. Building a fire, tending the flame, a small sanctuary for something. He's talking about construction. Enemies. The worst enemies of sanctuaries are cats, dogs, black snakes, English sparrows, blue jays, crows, Cooper's hawks, sharp shins, and sometimes red squirrels. He built a fence he's protecting. Must be trying to protect. He's growing something, I guess. And look here is a
bust.
A bust of Ernest Thompson Seton.
I'll be darned.
I don't know who did it, but I'd like to find that. That'd be cool. I was looking to see. I thought it had drawings in it. Maybe it doesn't. Because I loved his drawings. The fact that he did on almost all of his drawings. There's a couple of books that I've read somewhere where somebody helped illustrate some of them, but you can tell the difference. His drawing's kind of unique, as you well know.
Tina said that's by her. No, Dean. Yeah, Tina said that was
by her.
Yeah, that library.
Dean says, I'm up. Hi, Tim, and everybody. Good morning. Good morning, Dean. Well, how about that, Tina? So now my question is, how come you never went over and checked this book out? Why'd you not ever tell me this book was out there? But there's a whole section about birds, and here's some of his drawings. Up there's a bobcat or a lynx.
Well, you just said there wasn't no drawings in it.
No, I said I thought there would be, and then I wasn't finding them, and then I hit the section that had them. So there are drawings. There's a golden eagle studies from 1887.
Cool.
It's when he dated this. That's probably when he was, well, I don't know. He could have been out west. He might not have been out west. Here's some stuff from Toronto.
Sorry, folks, I'm randomly hitting myself in the head, but that's because a mosquito is landing on me
Oh, no.
in my own house.
There's a red fox from 1887. Solomon seal and a very, 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 very.
It's a bad deal when you have to bug dope yourself up to sit in your house.
Yes, it is. Look here, he did a whole.
Good morning, Dean.
I don't know how well you can see this, Mark, but there's a study of quail.
I love it.
As chicks up to a full-grown bird, a full-grown adult, looks like.
Tina couldn't drive yet in 69.
Oh, wow.
Hopefully it wasn't a young man that got to go visit the University of Southeast Asia.
Yeah, really. Getting about the right time. Here's a. He has gone back in and autographed that for. I'm sure that was on the copies, not this, but I mean, I'm sure he didn't go in and sign this book, but that almost looks like a fresh signature in that book. Oh, he did it on November 31st, 1891. He signed that drawing for somebody, I guess. That's cool. I mean, that looks real, like it's there. Surely it's not. I don't know how it could be. Anyway, a cool book from my Ernest Thompson Seton Library. And this is very apropos because, and now I am going to put my slideshow up because I have something about this. Bear with me 1 minute. I think I can still remember how to do this. Carol, you might want to remember that. Since for a long time I couldn't. I could not seem to do these things. So now you should see my opening screen.
What is
usual, with a big poster picture there of numerous mushrooms of various sorts. I'm sure that, I'm sure that poster is available on Etsy or Amazon or eBay or somebody. What did I wrote up here? Oh, yeah, I put up there in the top. You can read it. I said, Mark, I said, hold on, everybody. The fungus are among us. Grab your skillet and your butter and get ready to cook up some shrooms. You had me craving mushrooms ever since you talked about
You
them.
have entered a world I know almost nothing about.
Well, neither do I, but we're going to talk a little bit and on that thought.
Nearly nothing about.
I have we'll get to that just in a minute. So here I found out that yesterday was National Book Lovers Day. So happy Book Lovers Day, everybody. Belated, but still. Celebrated on August 9th each year. Dedicated to the joy of reading and the delight that books bring to our lives. Which is actually something maybe I'll end the show with today. Because this book, I've got a book of Robert Service poetry, which I've read here before. Read some. And this book brought a little bit of joy the other day because I picked it up and it sparked a thought. So I picked up my telephone and I called a guy I used to work with. He's the guy that kind of got me. I knew who Robert Service was, but I didn't know anything about his writing. And George kind of got me turned on to some of his poetry because George could sit and recite stuff. It was many pages long. And I said, how in the heck do you do that? I said, how do you remember all that? And the story was that George grew up. Oops, didn't want to get to that warning yet. George grew up. His father was an extension agent for the USDA. So he worked on a federal farm an extension farm out in different or ranch. Well, or farm could have been either, but in this case, he was on a. I believe they were just doing sheep. But it seems to me like he said they worked and his dad did some stuff with hogs and cattle too. But he grew up around a lot of sheep and sheep herders, and this is the sheep herders like we have out and that you have out in Wyoming, Mark, with their wagons and stuff. Well, back then a lot of them they were still pulling them in with horses, and they'd go out and stay with the sheep all summer out in the high country. Well, he'd go stay with them sometimes. They'd have to go out there and probably, I don't know, mark sheep, test sheep, do whatever an extension agent does with sheep. And so he might be out there for several days camping with them. And of course, out there back then, there wasn't one of these to pick up and read about something, But they had books. But that old guy is one of the favorite things these sheep herders that he hung out with like to do was read Robert Service. So they got him turned on to that, and they'd all sit around the campfires at night and repeat Robert Service poems. Now, they might have done other stuff too, but like the Ballad of Blasphemous Bill, I should read to you one day. I read the one about Mr. Sam McGee not being able to get warm. If you guys remember that, that's where he finally ended up in the middle of the stove. And he said, "Don't keep that door open. He said, "It's the warmest I've been since I left Tennessee." If you remember that. And George recommended I read another one. It's a real short one. So I might do that at the end of the day. But anyway, go hug all your books. Now, the warning and disclaimer, because as Mark just pointed out, mushrooms are not our forte. However, we've eaten a few in our life. And he's eaten more wild ones than me because he learned more about, I guess, out west mostly, didn't you? When you started learning about all the different ones out there you had?
Well, there's a couple, but that's all I know.
Well, that's
morels and boletes, and that's it.
Well, I think I've got those covered here.
There's chanterelles and oyster mushrooms that are hard to misidentify, but I don't trust them. I mean, I don't trust mushrooms. No.
Well, that's why I put right here.
Some of them will kill you dead really fast.
They will. And that's why I'm recommending it. Don't just go out and hunting mushrooms on something I say or we say without going out and doing your own research. And there's lots of good
books, but they're still confusing.
Well, they are, but USDA is good for putting out books for a given area or pamphlets. And like here, I've got a Peterson guide to mushrooms that I've had for years. And you probably got that somewhere too. I don't know, but maybe you don't. But anyway, I think I've got another one. I might have an Audubon version also, but I don't see it right now. But anyway, I got that mostly because I like to go out and photograph them. Some that come out in the mountains around here and other places are just gorgeous. I mean, they look like a piece of living coral out of a coral reef in the ocean. Orange and different colors.
You've got a great big one back there called Chicken of the Woods.
Yeah, I got pictures of that too.
That's a wonderful eating mushroom, I guess, and it's huge.
They can be huge. So anyway, I read this, guys. I mean, really more because there's lots of good information out there. There's a lot of people even online that know a lot more than I do. I mean that I would trust, I believe, because they're like scientists and things. And just for gee whiz, I put a couple of active links here that this one at the top is Kentucky's Plant Pathology and Forestry Fact Sheet, and it's got a whole section about mushrooms. And while some of the mushrooms in America are kind of area specific, there's a lot of them that have varieties of the same mushroom that grow in other places that makes them identifiable at least. But I found the only thing I could find quickly in the Northeast was also a USDA, and these um, publication. This one covered most of northern New England and other parts up there. And this Michigan one was a good one too, Carol. I found that it had a lot of interesting stuff in it. I'm trying to remember if it's the one at Kentucky. Let me pop that up in just a second. It says, don't eat those wild mushrooms unless you know what you're doing. So it's kind of a thing more about, don't eat these kind of pamphlet. But like I said, if I was going to go out and do that, I'm like Mark. There's only a few I'd trust, but there's actually quite a few out there. So here's a couple I believe you have out there, Mark. Well, you have puffballs. I don't know if you have that specific one. Is he in there? I can't see.
We get great big ones, but it's, again, I don't know them well enough I don't even trust. I mean, I got puffballs that come up in my pasture, but I don't know that I'm not misidentifying it as something else. I just don't trust it.
Well,
and that's a kind of a strange looking chicken of the woods, but it's
probably been preserved.
Looks
somehow.
like it's had its better day.
Yeah, it is.
They're really cool when they're growing.
Yeah, I got better pictures. But that's what that is. That's, the puffballs that I've got other photos of, they're big, much bigger than what, the little ones we used to puff dust out of. We use for wind indicators. That's most of my experience with a puffball. Anyway, so like these, these are from photos out of one of these books, and I can't remember that. I don't think both of these are chicken of the woods. One of these may be a I don't be able to remember anything. The oyster mushrooms, and the one on the left in particular, right in particular. And mostly this is just so you can see I just did this.
Back up. That one that's closest to our heads looks slimy, and I wouldn't eat it. The one that's got the buffalo skull hanging above it, they definitely set that photo up.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they did.
Those are what they look like out here.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I remember canoeing down the North Platte River one time with my boss, and we went under a big log that was close to the bank that was kind of just angled down into the river, and we went underneath it. And he was darn near rolled the canoe on us because stop. And that was just covered with those oyster shell mushrooms. And we put in the thwarts in the middle of the canoe, we filled that puppy full. I mean, there was a ton of them on that. And they were good. I just don't know if there's something else that looks like them that you got to worry about. I don't.
Well, it's kind of like what you told me the other day, and I've got either these documents that I sent out and talk about this, or might have something in there. But it's like if you look at the gills and you know what they do or don't have, toadstools are all gill mushrooms, and certainly if it looks like a toadstool out in your yard, the stuff that pops up in your yard most of the time, back here at least, aren't something you want to eat. They're all.
I mean, but not all gilled mushrooms are poisonous either. And that,
no, they're not.
The kind we put on pizza or whatever, the kind you go to the store and buy, those are gilled mushrooms.
Yeah, but by then they know where they came from. But yes, you're right. I mean, that's kind of what I was trying to say.
Yeah, that's the problem with mushrooms is that You get the wrong one.
Not. Okay. Now here, however, is one of my favorite mushrooms, and I have picked these and at them, and these are morels.
And they don't look like anything else. Even a false morel doesn't look like a morel.
No, I mean, the closest thing I can think of that these look like might be a natural sponge or something, because they're just full of those kind of holes. And which makes another thing, you got to clean them out good when you eat them because they might be full of bugs, but that's not a problem. You just slice them up and wash them out, slather those puppies in butter and go to town.
They come in black, and they come in gray, and they come in white, and they come in yellow.
I got 2 or 3 pictures of
And
different
if you
colors.
have bluegill fillets to add with it, you have the finest meal that human beings have ever invented.
And some of them are big and some of them are not so big.
Look at those. Oh, my God.
And look at this. I mean, this is, I guess makes me, oh my God, this just makes my mouth water.
Look at that bunch up there at that rock.
Right here.
Yeah.
That's why I put some of these in to show different colors and how.
And these things are actually circumpolar, or I mean, they're all over the world. I watched Gordon Ramsay was doing a series, and maybe he still does it, where he goes and visits people around the world and cooks their food. Like he went to Vietnam, and he went to Africa a few times, and he went down to Peru, and they ate guinea pig, and he wandered all over the planet doing that. And he went to Morocco one time, and they were picking morel mushrooms in Morocco in the mountains.
Oh, cool.
And
I mean,
they look just like the ones we have.
Good morning, Cherie. I wasn't ignoring you. I just missed you coming in. You're having a conversation over here about mushrooms. I don't know why my wife is not in here. She was out walking around. She wanted to get in on this, I thought. I'm going to call her one more time. But anyway, again, I'm just kind of putting these in there to show different places you might find them. I mean, depending on where you're at. Mark, you said something about one of the best. I read, and I either put a picture on here that was about that, or I read about that. When fire goes through aspens, that's great mushroom hunting.
Yeah, even conifers. Some conifer stands, if it burns, you can go in there the next year and find morels.
Well, did I not? Hang on a minute, Mark.
Yeah, Carol, that I've found morels growing in my mom and dad's yard several times. There are places in the wood. I mean, kind of in the woods.
Oh, Tina's talking about yuck or something.
Huh?
Oh, Tina said yuck. Either I don't know if that's a general mushroom yuck or if that's for something else. And again, I'm not trying to tell anybody to go out and eat the mushrooms in their yard or off their trees, but I did read enough yesterday. Yes, I put links in the show, Tina. Hopefully you can click on those and see them. Some of those are really good. I mean, those are good information documents. And but extension services for most major universities, at least in the land grant states and the what they call ag schools are usually land grant schools, I guess they call them. Anyway, a lot of those put out extension. They have extension offices all around the state and do things like forestry and this sort of stuff. And of course, they deal a lot with crops and husbandry of livestock. I mean, they have all kinds of specialties, but I know Tennessee's got several really good ones. And let's see. I'm trying to catch it. I love huge portobello mushrooms with cheese in the middle. Now you're going to make me really hungry. Shiitakes are good, and I have some shiitakes in here, and I think I do. I've got some maitakes. I don't know if they're related or not. Anyway, let's move. This is some size, and again, different colorations. You see these real dark brown one down here, and you see this really white one at the top, and these little guys right here look like a pile of pine cones almost. And I thought I had another picture of a big load of them. Maybe I don't. And then we got these. And I was thinking you told me you guys might have these, Mark. Don't mean you've eaten them. But believe it or not, these are edible. And these are called inky caps or shaggy cap mushrooms. And he's not sitting there. But I put these in different pictures because this is all the same mushroom. And kind of the life pattern it goes through. This at the bottom when they're starting to decay and let's see how they put that. I made sure I put a note in here so I would look at it and read the words. Young shaggy and inky caps are basically the same thing. You can see this one, they sliced it right down the middle line, probably just before it got to this stage. And then we got some in the middle where the cap's just starting to get shaggy, and then like this, and then finally is a deliquescence. They look like this. That's where they get the inky name. Hang on, guys. It's 11 o'clock according to my clock. Cherie said there's a monastery near her that sells truffles. Oh my. And truffle oil. I didn't even know you could raise truffles domestically. That's good. She said she might be able to eat certain mushrooms won't kill her if she turned vegan. I put a couple pictures and I meant to put
But they ain't vegetables.
What?
But they ain't vegetables.
No, they're not. But vegans and vegetarians include them usually.
They just add in whatever they want.
Well, that's true. And here's some. These are edible puff balls.
Big old puff balls.
And you can see, I mean, these are solid through the middle. And the little ones I used to get, I don't remember ever seeing any like that. And the ones I did see that might have been like that were probably just the bad ones that grow up in the yard that aren't edible before they popped out. And this down here is one that's just basically about gone. Again, there's a link down there. You might have to copy.
Well, we were always just picking them, and when they'd gone to spore, to use for a wind indicator. That's the only way I ever picked puppies.
Yeah, well, me too. I used to carry them on my bow and stuff because they were very handy.
You could tell which way the wind was blowing.
That's exactly right. Here's another one that's supposed to be. I don't know if you've seen this one, Mark. They call this the hen of the woods.
Yeah.
And
it's related to the chicken of the woods. Might be the same thing.
Well, no, yeah, yes and no. I read about that a little bit. These are more of a maitake. Those other ones are considered a polypore. Some semantics maybe, but so they're a little bit different, but they are similar. Yes, and one article I read said that they are. Some people that say the same thing. So I guess it just depends. Oh, I just saw something interesting. Whoa, back up. Look at the bottom.
Cherie, are they walking around? Here's my vision of the monastery. Are they walking around with the board hitting themselves in the forehead as they're walking. like on Monty Python.
You got too much of your biblical education from Monty Python.
It's awful. It's just.
Carol says the one on the right looks like a wasp nest to her. These another common thing. It seems a lot of the edible ones, not all again, but like these and the chicken of the woods, and these tend to grow on trees. That's their main job in life is to decompose trees, dead trees. I've never had these that I know of, but they're supposed to be really good. But then again, all these are. And the chicken of the woods or the hen of the woods, are closely related to. They're like a maitake in Japan. Let me make sure I'm saying that right. They're considered a maitake, and that is spelled Miatake.
Ke.
Ke. What did I say?
Ke.
Actually, these guys are the polypores. So the other ones, I got that mixed up. So the chicken of the woods aren't the polypores. These are. Again, that's probably got something to do with how many holes it has instead of gills or something. I don't know. They reproduce in different ways. But man, oh man, this right here on the left there, I could sit down and eat that right now. Those are sauteed or fixed in a really light, like a cornstarch, tempura batter, which I really like. God, I'm gonna have to drive back to Knoxville today just to get some Chinese food or Japanese food or something. And these are, here's some varieties of chicken in the woods. And I don't know if I wrote anything on the bottom of this page or not. No. There was a lot of information about these. And somewhere in here is when I started getting really tired. So I didn't get all these done the way I wanted them to. I might do some more of this later again. Again, you guys aren't getting the best quality shows out of me lately, I can tell. But these are really pretty. I have seen these in the mountains and never knew that they might be edible. And especially in the Smokies. And we were talking about gills earlier, Mark. A lot of these oyster mushrooms have this kind of a gill-like structure, but it's not the same as like a death cap.
It's not like the ones that kill you.
No. But the other thing that's cool I was going to show you was this box you can buy now from oyster growers, oyster farmers at the ocean. People that raise and grow and sell mushrooms commercially. You can buy these kits, and there's like golden oyster mushrooms or blue oyster mushrooms. And I don't know if this was a golden too. But
thanks, Brenda. I was trying to figure out what the heck you're talking about. Those measurements are beautiful.
I have no comment about that. You can also do a retreat. Oh, she's talking about the monastery. Yeah, a lot of the guy, William Least Heat Moon, the author, another author I read. He found it. When I say this, sounds like somebody discovered it, but he went to a monastery somewhere in Kentucky and visited them as he passed through on his Blue Highways travels. And I think they made wine there, but they may have also grown mushrooms. I can't remember now. They had a vow of silence, but they weren't hitting themselves with a board. But you can buy boxes of different kinds of mushrooms, and they'll sprout and spore right there in your house, I guess. Now, some of these things, about my buddy George, again, his next door neighbor used to grow certain types of mushrooms like on a log behind his house. And and he set it up and he bought spore, or I don't know how he got it started, but every year he'd have mushrooms or every season, just kind of like an asparagus patch. I guess up until they ran out of food, or the log was decomposed or whatever. And some of those were oysters.
But they drill down into those logs and put the spores in there. I don't understand.
I don't know. Maybe that may be how they did it.
I don't begin to understand how they go about it, but it's my neighbor grows mushrooms and successfully, and I know people that have grown morels successfully, but not very often.
Yeah, there are people out there you can buy them now, but I don't know. I think you said,
and they cost a fortune.
Yeah,
I have a look. My wife bought me a little old packet of them about that big, and they are expensive.
Yeah, I didn't put it on your page, but on my page, it says that this genus, which is, let me see if I can say this right, Pleurotus argilled, and these are also, abalone, oyster, or tree mushrooms. They essentially is kind of a common name in some places, but you can cultivate these, which these are, and are quite edible. And they do, and like Mark was saying earlier, a lot of these grow pretty much all the way around the world. Usually in might be a different species, or
and if you catch them right, if you catch it right, they're everywhere.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
You could spend all day picking, and the next one's a bolete. I can tell.
Yeah. Now I want to say something about this. I would love to think about going anywhere and getting a basket full of good wild edible mushrooms, be they morels or oyster mushrooms, or these guys, which are becoming one of your favorites, I believe.
Yeah, so that's the species right there that we find. Took my oldest granddaughter mushroom hunting, and we hit it just right, and they were everywhere. There was a ton of other kind of mushrooms growing in the same habitat at the same time.
Yeah.
So we had to be, I was like, okay, like that's a good one. I showed her how to look at the underneath side of the cap, and you look for pores. And apparently, I don't know if this is a fact or not, but all those bolete type mushrooms all have pores, and they're all supposed to be edible. Some of them taste better than other ones. There's a yellow one called a swillus. I think it's called a swillus. It's kind of a neon yellow. It's like the background on your slide right there by that big tall bolete.
Yeah.
It's that color, and it's poured, and I've eaten them, and they when you cook them, they get real, I don't know, gelatinous. They don't have a good texture, and they don't have a lot of flavor. But these guys right here are wonderful, and you can get them this big around. Usually when they get great big like that, they're full of bugs, and it's almost always bugs in the form of some kind of little worm maggot thing. It's not, but the little ones, if they're like that big or so, they're perfect. Look at that, and you just slice them like steak.
Yeah, that's what you were telling me before. I wonder if they're anything related at all to like a portobello. Probably not.
I don't know. They might be, but you clean them up and slice them, and you can literally throw them if you get the big ones, that are clean, you slice that cap like a steak and throw them on the grill. Oh my God, they're good.
And you're eating the stem and all like this picture shows, or just the cap?
But yeah, if the stem's good, we eat that too.
Yeah.
But I've been taking them and I just sliced them, 1/4 inch thick or so, and then I've got a dehydrator from Cabela's, and I throw them in there and just dry them, and put them in a dry mason jar, and put the cap on. And I've kept them for years like that. So they're really a good mushroom. And then when you cook them, you rehydrate them. You just put them in a little water, get them to kind of fluff back up, and then just saute them like you would any other mushroom.
Oh, Brenda, I got to
One sounds gross.
I think she said when
They're
you
all
said,
saying yuck, yuck, yuck.
well, it's when you were talking about the gelatinous versions, I believe.
Yeah, they're nasty. They're edible. They're not. They won't hurt you, but they're just not. They're not palatable.
I'm going to chase a flying squirrel. Not literally, but I just had what has to be a very, very juvenile hummingbird on my feeder. I mean, it was smaller than the others. It had almost no adult plumage. That was cool. I've not seen those out there.
So we had one in the. We have you know where our enclosed porch is out on the front porch?
Yeah.
The room to the side that's all glass, got big windows, on the west side of our porch. The Shauna come in, got me the other day and said there's a hummingbird stuck in that room.
Oh.
He was just doing the moth thing and flying into the window.
Yeah.
And it was a rufous hummingbird, and I just walked over there and just put my hands up and real carefully cupped it around the bird and took it outside and turned it loose, and it was gone.
So did you actually catch it, or did it land on your hand?
No, I just put my hands up and cupped around it and took it outside and turned it loose, and it went. Cool. It went ringing off like they do. So
I've been out here a couple times now.
Brenda said you said the word maggot.
He didn't say maggots, did he?
I did too.
Oh, okay.
I was talking about the worm. I was talking about the worms that you get in the big old boletes. There's some fly that there's John. There's some fly that lays their eggs in those big old the boletes after they're past their prime. When they're starting to slightly decompose, they lay their eggs in there.
Oh, John's at the airport. He's leaving town. This is his that get together or whatever he goes to. He was talking about last week. Oh, Tina, you've been down. I mean, not Tina. Nah. Carol, you've been down this way. You were at Myrtle Beach this summer. See there, you ought to bring back lots of pictures, and then we could do Carol's trip to Myrtle Beach sometime. You could get online. To keep us from messing with the hummingbirds as kids, they told us they would stab them with their beak. And some of those bigger ones just might do that too.
But that's a good way to keep kids to
leave them alone.
Leave hummingbirds alone.
Yes, it is. Let's see. Oh, I got a warning. Oh, fatigue was setting in. Oh, that's when I started. That's this morning. I finally said, I just can't do this morning. I can't concentrate. So I wanted to put up another warning that random squirrels may now appear, because I think that's all the mushrooms I got right now. But the moral of this story is, I probably made everybody sick right there. I didn't. I'm not trying to encourage people to go out and just take chances, but if you're interested in them and you do learn or find somebody that really knows them, and I mean, even if you just learn a few, like Mark says, I mean, he knows some, he don't trust others, which is the way I feel about it. But man, if you like mushrooms, you're missing out if you don't try some of those.
Yeah, and morels and boletes, tastes so much better than store-bought
Oh
mushrooms,
yeah,
which I
morel.
love. I can eat my body weight in those, but they don't hold a candle to the wild ones.
You
So
know, growing up, and well, you may still do this.
maybe it's just because I picked them myself, and
Well,
everything tastes better when you
they're
harvest
fresh.
it from the woods.
Well, that's true. You get a little body sweat on your fingers, and you know that adds in the whole thing. You know, we used to go collect them in plastic bread bags. You you know, if you got a bread bag sack of morels, usually you've done something.
Yeah.
And, my dad, sort of a funny story, but mom and dad, I grew up not eating a lot of things that I went out in the world and learned about, like, well, some salads. Broccoli, I don't think I'd ever eaten broccoli till I got in high school. Just things like that.
Medium rare meat.
Yeah, medium rare meat. Yeah.
Meat had to be gray or it wasn't, you couldn't eat it. According to my
You can ask
family.
Brenda. Most everything my mom cooked meat wise usually came out pretty crispy. She was known for her hockey puck hamburgers. She was like, I guess she's like to make damn sure they were done. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I was getting ready to tell a story. Oh, Dad never ate that. So
Talk
they never
about
ate
red
mushrooms.
stacks and mushrooms.
And it was just what, you know, we just never had them on anything. I don't know if they ever bought them pizza with mushrooms on or not that I know of. But anyway, I found a little patch of mushrooms, morels, purely by accident one day in the woods across from my dad's house. I used to walk through there on my way back and forth to school. And one day I got in fly swat time. And one day I was just in there looking around the right time of year, and lo and behold, I found a patch of morels. So I picked them, or picked a hand cap full of them or something. Took them back, and Mom and Dad like, "What you got? What you got there?" I said, "I got mushrooms." Oh, you can't. My mom was always very cautious about things.
You ain't
Oh,
allowed
you
to
can't eat
eat
those.
them.
They'll kill you. And I said, "These won't kill you. Let me fix them." So I fixed up this little mess, and my dad ate them, and he absolutely loved them. And it was like, what have I been missing all my life? So after that, every year in the spring and early summer, where he was over there looking for morels, I don't think he missed a season. I don't think he got a lot, but he got some over there. Now, when I worked at TVA up at Norris, there was this little group of guys back behind our office. We had a triple wide trailer set up that I worked out in the first few years at TVA. And back in behind that area, there was an old CCC camp and a Boy Scout camp, which I think was, you know, they used part of the CCC camp. But anyway, there was a couple of roads that just wandered back through the woods there. And for the most part, they hadn't been kept clear. And now, in recent years, they've started to preserve or restore those camps. So there's not for use, but just for history. And so the trails aren't as they're more used, I guess. But there were some secret places up in there that were just simply known as the morel holes, and those guys would never tell anybody else where they were at. And they were very sneaky about going up in there and getting their morels, but they always came out with bags full. Cherie got to go back to work. Yeah. Well, have a good day, Cherie. Thanks for stopping by. Somebody was in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Oh, Carol's still talking about her vacation. Oh, back to Michigan. Is that because she's tired of the heat, Carol? I know I would be. At least you get some cool weather up there. So anyway, Dad decided he became a mushroom lover after that.
I
I thought maybe
can't
I'd done.
believe your mother didn't grow up eating them by the pound.
Well, I don't know. That's a funny thing you say that because you would think that they did because
I
they were
mean, she
country
was a
folk.
holler girl.
She was a holler girl, and they ate off the land, so to speak. Squirrels and
And
game
such.
birds and rabbits were caught. What?
I'm gonna need that for squirrels and such.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And my grandfather even, well, at least it was said. I didn't know him when he did this, but like Depression era time, he used to take his. Again, I never got to handle this, but he had an L.C. Smith double barrel, and which was really nice shotgun in its day. And he used to go shoot quail and stuff.
Whenever
And
they needed a meal.
they would eat them, but he would also take them into Kingsport and sell them to, or maybe not in Kingsport. There was a hotel kind of place not too far from them, and I think they had a fine restaurant where they fix things like quail, and so he would sell, earn a little money doing that too.
It's like selling diamondback terrapin or muskrat.
Muskrat. That's something else I don't remember anybody ever talking about eating was muskrat, but in the Northeast, muskrat's not that uncommon food, I don't think.
We ate them all the time.
Growing up, or
Marsh rabbit, they called it.
when you were growing up, or just after you
Yeah,
grew
I
up?
mean,
Yeah.
both my grandpas ate muskrat,
Cool.
especially the one that liked to noodle for under the banks for turtles. He was scared to death of muskrats because you grab hold of one of them and then you had to get away from him before he ate you.
My dad never, in case you guys, I don't know if you guys, we talked about noodling before, but basically you stick your hands up under banks and rocks and
Like
hopefully you grab
this.
a catfish in there and pull him out.
We were always looking for snapping turtles.
Yeah, well, that too. Well, didn't ever do it. Dad didn't want me to do it because he did it. They did it when he was kid. They were kids or younger, and he said one day he got in there and got hung up and thought he was going to drown. So he never would let me do it. So I never did.
Well, there was two kids when I was in high school that drowned in the Chucky.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, from noodling. I mean, they got
Oh,
they
I
were
don't
like
remember
in
that.
that Devil's Looking Glass country and reaching up under rocks. Those big shelf rocks that
Yeah.
went from side to side. And couldn't get out. Stick your hand in a fish that's bigger than you are.
Yeah.
And it just swells up in there and like, now
Yeah,
what?
that's what they do. Some of the big you try to get their hand in their mouth, and some people it can actually, I guess, slide them all the way back if they can get them cook them in their gills. But the thing about it is the fish ain't wanting to come out, and they puff up. And, catfish can be pretty dang strong.
And they start filling this with their
They
head.
start doing that. And they don't always want to come out. Now, down here, the thing, Mark, I don't know if they've done this out there or anywhere you've been, but down here, there were some places, and then some of it was because of TV, and some of it was probably on the internet, where they started putting out boxes.
Oh, for nesting boxes.
Nesting boxes, and that became a favorite noodling location.
Yeah, that's real big in the Southeast right now.
Yeah. If you've never seen it, like guys, there's a young lady her name is Hannah Barron, Barron, and she's a real Southern talking young lady, but she's a real outdoorsy kind of girl. Look her up, and she does a lot of noodling for catfish. And I'm telling you something, I've seen her pull catfish, and she's known for picking them up and just putting them up over her shoulder. And some of them look like they're bigger than she is. I swear they're huge.
Great big blues and big old fine flatheads.
Oh, that makes me hungry too. What were you looking at?
I was just thinking about catfish fillets.
Oh, okay. We did.
We're talking about mushrooms and fish fillets. Now I'm hungry.
Yeah, Brenda, if you're listening now, I'm probably gonna want something, soft to
You're
eat.
gonna have to go get you a hearty steak biscuit or something.
Oh no, that's not nice. I can't eat it either right now. I don't think I'd be
Well,
the
the
good
other
one.
side of your face is okay.
Well, there ain't as many teeth. I've got a couple missing teeth there too. Now, if I took a hearty steak biscuit,
And blended it.
well, not blended it, but just cut it up into small chunks so I didn't have to chew it as much right now, I wouldn't be as likely to jam it up in there, and that'd be good. And I could sit here. I might have to do that. That'd be torture. I could sit here and do that in front of you.
You could just like do. You could drop it in a blender and hit it hard.
And then just drink it.
To a straw.
That'd probably taste. That might be fun. I'll try that sometime.
It tastes the same.
It should, yeah.
Oh my!
Blending your hearty steak biscuit. Now there's the one for the. If we ever do that, we'll have to document that. Lord have mercy, we'll have to show that for sure. Oh, speaking of documenting, last time I went to this dentist for extractions, they had to pull 3 or 4 of my teeth. They put studs in the bottom so I can put teeth back on them. But anyway, I don't know if they used laughing gas that time or not, but they put me under. I am not a good dentist chair patient at all.
Me
So
neither.
me
Because
under
all my original dentists were Navy dentists.
Oh God!
I can't think of a more evil human being on the planet.
I know, right?
You're like a little kid, and
be like that guy on the
and a Marines kid to boot.
Yeah. The movie, John Wayne movie.
Hurt him.
Was Rio Lobo. John Wayne movie, Rio Lobo.
Ah!
He goes in to see the dentist because he's got a fake toothache because he needs to talk to the guy without somebody else knowing. And he said, yell real. He said, now yell real loud when I do this. He said, they usually do. He ain't got a big old needle. He said, and when I do this, they like to holler a lot. And he actually stuck him with it, supposedly in the movie. He said, what are you doing? That's the real thing. He said, well, it'd be realistic. That kind of reminds me of my early dentistry work. I think that's why I don't like to go now.
And I know it's why I'm scared to death of them.
But last time I was there, you've probably all seen videos on TV of kids or people coming out the dentist office with their mouth all flow up and they're saying crazy things. Well, apparently, last time I was there, I came out from under. I woke up and I was the same way. Apparently, according to my wife, I have no other way. Apparently, I said some things to the nurses I probably shouldn't have said. I don't know if I can tell this or not. I guess so. This is an adult
You
show.
can't tell. No, you can't. No, if you say, I don't know if I can tell this, then you cannot tell it.
Well,
you're not allowed. You can't do it.
What do you think, Brenda? Are you still paying attention? You could tell it. Actually, I don't remember it. She did. But apparently on the way home, I just didn't shut up the whole way home. And I was saying much more lewd things to her because, husband and wife, they can do that. And she said she finally got me to the house and got me set down somewhere. And I finally, after a while, I was normal. But she said I was doing a lot of things under the influence I shouldn't have been doing. And apparently, it did involve the help. But anyway, what was I going to say? I guess that's what I was going to say. Yeah, growing up, the first time I went to a dentist, not my mom's fault, but was an old guy. It used to be in Jonesboro, somewhere right there on Main Street. And I was 5 or 6 years old by then, and I'd never been. And I had 2 or 3 cavities. Mom said that's when she finally, really started making us brush our teeth and stuff. And I guess she did good because till I was in my 50s, I had no teeth problems. whatsoever. But anyway, this guy was an older dentist, and he was a country dentist, and there wasn't nothing easy, mild, or thoughtful about him. He got in there and did it, and I mean, I hated going to him. Either he numb it. I think he did most of his work without numbing it, because I remember sitting there with gripping the chair, and I could smell that damn drill running.
Yeah.
Pneumatic drill in there. And you start smelling that burnt tooth smell. And that, back then you rinse and spit.
Give you the heebity-jeebities.
My dentist now, my regular dentist, he don't do the spit thing. He said, that's nasty. He said, we don't do that anymore. They got a little tube and it suctions it out. I guess like surgery. When you're drawing blood off a wound or whatever to do surgery. And he says, now just, stick this in your mouth and let it, it'd suck all the water and spit out of it. He said, I don't want you spitting on my equipment or in the floor. He's a nice guy. Brenda really likes him. Because they talk there and he tells her stories, but most of the time I get in there, he's all business. He has been to Africa, though, I found out. And I asked him about it because I thought, well, here's some stories. I'll share some Mark stories with him, maybe. And he said, well, it was 20. He said, no, I think it was 25 years ago. And I said, oh, well, at least you did go, though. And I don't know if he went as a hunter or not. I think he used to hunt, so he probably did.
He wasn't in the Mogadishu or somewhere, was he?
I don't know. He didn't mention that. I'm not sure. It could have been that back then. It could have been Rhodesia, or who knows? Back then, there were probably still a lot of places you could go that were semi-safe.
Semi-safe,
so to speak.
Anti-safe.
Let's face it. A lot of Africa was still wild. Still
is.
So when I say sort of safe, what I mean is, there's critters and things out there you got to be aware of. I just noticed that Cherie has a new logo, and it's quite colorful. Huh. Well, and of course, Carol's always had her. Carol, I'm not sure that you're not intimating there somehow that you're a witch on a flying key, are you? Oh, she wants to be. Well, I don't blame her for that. Cherie or Carol wanting to be closer to family. Somehow or another, I'm an hour and a half or so away from my daughters, but apparently I'm not close enough to be close to family. They don't come see me very often. That's another story. Oh, well, I got a big project coming.
That's not far at all.
No, that's not far enough. Especially out your
way. That far of the daggone Lowe's or something.
Yeah, I know. I got a project that coming in this week. Let's see how I do on that, or see if I can get any help. I ordered handrails for my porch out here so I can get up and down the steps more safely.
Oh, you told me that, and some stickum.
Yeah. Well, I this will hope to get them installed this week. I'm looking forward to having them, and the stickum. Last night I went out and it had already dewed on the steps, so they were a little bit slickery. So I don't, I'm just real.
Oh, so you've already installed that?
No, not yet. The porch is out. The porch is there, but the stickum, no, I haven't put that on yet.
Oh, yeah.
I told Brenda a while ago I wanted
to down, and it got dewy in it.
No, this was still on the step. The paint it was still kind of slickery.
Right.
So I can't help it. I'm just nervous with my legs anymore. My feet slip, and then away she goes with a mighty thud. When I landed, for some reason, whoever built this deck and steps, as they got closer to the bottom, they must have decided they didn't want to go out as far because they started making them more narrow and steeper. Every time I go down now, thank you, asshole. Excuse me. You guys should have done, but I am getting nasty, filthy mouth here.
Well, my son and son-in-law replaced our deck on the back of the house and had no idea of what like risers and runners were on stairs.
Oh gosh.
And so like 3 of the steps are regular, and then they get taller and taller and taller until you get to the top one, which you've seen.
Yeah. Oh
I
yeah.
might have had to throw you up over that one. It's like climbing a obstacle course deal with the Marine Corps or something.
Well, this house has, I guess because of the way it was built and floors were poured outside and walks, they've all got steps that go into the house that are about half a foot, or not half a foot, but about a step and a half tall, like you're saying.
Yeah,
probably not quite that tall. And it makes it hard for me to get sometimes my left foot don't want to do that. And then sometimes my stupid knees don't want to do it. So I'm trying to get that fixed too.
Well, the original deck that we had on the back of the house when we bought this place had stairs, and then it had a big old ramp.
Oh, that's what I want.
As the people that lived here forever, aged, I don't know if one of them ended up being in a wheelchair, or if she was just,
now I can see a lot better.
Just needed to walk up a ramp. And
right.
I'm like, well, when we first bought the place, I'm like, well, why would you need a ramp? And now I'm like, there are days where I'm like, God dang, I sure miss that ramp.
Well, I wanted to put a ramp in out here, and I had it all laid out in my mind. I kind of had the run and riser and run part figured out, and it was going to come up from the house, a walkway, just like a sidewalk kind of thing, which I'll talk about in a minute, up to near the porch here, the steps, and then go up and hit where it flattens out again here a little bit, and then bring that back over to the door height. And because I didn't want it to be 25 feet long down to the house, so I put a bend in it, which I looked up and had plans for it, which would have been pretty simple to do. But that takes a lot more work, so I finally just gave in and said, I'll put handrails on it for now. Maybe someday I'll get a ramp again. But yeah, I'm not riding up and down it, but sometimes it would be kind of nice to not have to climb steps. That was one of the hardest things about our old house was, I did go up and down steps every day, but they were normal steps, and I actually had a handrail, so I could actually, for the most part, I can motivate them, or that's not the right word, not motivate. Well, maybe we used to say motivate. I could get right on up those pretty good, and I didn't really worry about it that much. But I know the kids said, "Dad, you need to move out of here. You need to have a house with no steps." So what did I do? I moved out here in a house that's got only a couple of steps, but they're hard ones. The stairway down to the basement, which I hardly ever have to go down, are nice. They're nicely spaced and got good handrails and all that.
Well, you got 2 son-in-laws that could come out there and put you in some steps pretty quickly.
Yeah, if I can ever get them up here.
It don't take that long.
No.
They have to have some kind of sense of design.
Well, the youngest one is in that line of work, so I thought he'd be my first choice. The older one, I don't know. He's more of a computer guy, so I don't know if he would do that or not. Here's Tina says, "Thank you for paying us a visit yesterday. A lot of rain and Debbie. I thought you meant." So the hurricane, what's left over, finally got all the way up into New York.
Is that the last hurricane that hit down there?
Yeah, it strolled along the coast, and it just now got to Tina's part of New York. Yeah, some places along the coast got it pretty bad. We actually had a lot of rain. I guess a lot of it came off that.
Did
But
it
it
hit?
wasn't stormy rain. It was just rain. I mean, it wasn't thunderstorms and stuff
Did
so
it
much.
hit the Outer Banks pretty hard? I wonder.
It did, but I don't. Oh, it did some, but I don't know how bad. That's what Cherie is down by Myrtle, and she was saying they had standing water. Hers wasn't flood water so much as it was just drainage. It was backed up a little bit. I'm trying to see if I'm caught up here. Let me look at my.
We've been getting a fair amount out here too, which is surprising. We don't
Yeah,
generally get moisture this time of year. Of course, it's all in the form of violent thunderstorms, but
yeah. Does any of it ever last very long?
the what?
Do any of those rainstorms last much, or they just hit
We've
and
had
go?
a couple that went kind of overnight, here lately and they're like I said, well, you've probably seen some of Caitlin's lightning photos. They're pretty
Yeah.
violent, and
Oh yeah.
then we don't have internet for days or whatever, and so
According to Brenda, she said the younger one was in great demand, unfortunately.
it
Well, that's true, but I offered to pay
sounds
him.
like he's busy.
Yeah, I mean, that's okay. I know they need to be, but hell, I offered to pay him. I wasn't going to ask him to do it for nothing because I knew he needed to be working. So I said, well, you don't have to come up here for free. I'll be glad to pay you.
But they're
I don't think he really wanted me to pay him though. Maybe that's why he hadn't gotten up here. Maybe he wants
well,
to do
yeah,
it,
because
but he hadn't had time.
your family, you ain't supposed to pay.
Well, I know, but I offered to because I knew if he was up here, he probably wasn't working.
Right.
And so, but I think part of the problem is because he's not really, he's a pretty good kid. Now, I'm sure he would rather come up here and help us or do it for us and not charge us. But he just hadn't been able to get up here with enough free time to do that. I'm hoping we'll make do. We'll get it eventually. That's why I'm just finally I have to learn to tackle this one box at a time, and I'll eventually get my library. I hope before Christmas hits that I've got this the way I friggin' want it for Christmas. I want a better studio for shows and reading and such. And sooner or later, you guys are going to come out and visit, and we need to have a place to sit and sip brown liquor and read a book or something. Oh, did I say brown liquor? Excuse me.
You can read some Blackfoot Lodge tales.
That'd be fun again, wouldn't it?
That'd be great. I haven't read it in years. I got it.
Well, I got it too. That'd be a good thing to do. This, and I hope by Christmas I've got a little small train. I want to put me a little train up. I've always wanted to have a little Christmas train or something. And I'd really like to build me a little small train layout and have it running in the background.
My youngest son-in-law and his son build a train for Christmas every year.
Do they?
I don't know what gauge of track he's running, but it's a good one.
Are they bigger train cars like Lionel, or are they small?
They're smaller.
Probably HO scale then.
Probably O. Yeah.
HO, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And
there's an O scale and an HO scale, and then there's the smallest ones I know about are N scale, and they're about that big.
Yeah, little bitty.
And they're the most expensive ones, of course. Seems like
they've got, a town they build and railroad crossings and the whole deal.
Brenda's dad had some kind of a Lionel train, I think. I believe if she were tell Brenda to step up here, and they had some leftover buildings, and I think he seems like he had a couple of crossing bells that you can hook up, and run and ding dong, and all that, and It seems like he had another building or two, and I don't know if they sold those, gave them away, or the kids got them. I don't know what happened to them. If that bunch of yonkers of grandsons and great grands got them, I'm sure they're ruined by now. They just don't appreciate stuff like that. At least they never did. Maybe
you remember Ray Vitito?
Yeah.
He and Mike were big into, because he came from train people.
Oh, really?
Ray did coal trains.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
All up in that southern Ohio country, and they made that. I mean, they had train sets that took up half the basement.
Tina, that's you're right, and I want to. I have wanted, and Brenda can attest to this. Maple Bacon is back. Have you been here all along? Just hadn't been talking to us. I've wanted one for years. You can ask Brenda. I've always wanted to build a big one. Have a room or have a train layout. And you're right, and I may do that before it's over with if I can. I have this, Mark. I don't know if you can read that or not, but anyway, this is a watch fob, and I got the fob I have on it, this piece, and they use these because that's how you hook it in your pocket or keep your fob out handy where you can grab it. But this one is for the Clinchville Railroad, and growing up, this was the railroad I was most likely to be interacting with, and it was a coal train. They always hauled coal in and out of Virginia.
Yeah.
And I just
I'm liking the fact that a Manitoban is using y'all.
And he seems to use it correctly. Y'all is a plural word. Y'all ain't singular.
People talk about y'all and Ewans, and
hey, I learned something. Well, I learned something.
Ewans is y'all plus 3, I think. Sorry.
I hadn't heard it put that way. Put the math to
it. There's a formula.
Growing up, there was always some part of the people around us that used the term Ewans more than others. Okay, I mean, we all kind of knew what it was, but Mom didn't like us saying Ewans, so I guess I didn't grow up saying Ewans. But I didn't know this until I got online, and there's a lady named Amy. I think, correct me, Tina, it's Amy Scott, isn't it? She goes by her YouTube name is AJC Adventures or something like that, I think. Anyway, I can find it. I'm not sure Tina can post it. But she's from the Pittsburgh area, and then there's a couple of other people that we know from Disney stuff online that live in Florida now, but they were from the Pittsburgh area. And they were telling me, or have told me, that part of Pennsylvania, Ewans was a very common word, not necessarily in the rest of the state, but down in that Pennsylvania lower corner
Southwest area. Pennsylvania and southern Ohio, too.
Yeah.
They use Ewans all over that part of the world. In northern West Virginia.
I guess she actually said, maybe she said yens more than Ewans. The U part was kind of sped up.
Yeah.
But they've talked about it a few times, and I thought that was just a country thing or a mountain thing. And yeah,
they're still the same folks. I mean,
true. That's true.
Still a bunch of Scots-Irish folks that are Presbyterian Scots that ended up in the mountains, And
well, I forget a lot, but Pittsburgh, what is now we call Pittsburgh, the forks of the river, Fort Duquesne, and all that stuff was a major stopping point for people moving west. And it was like, if you could get down the river, that was the first big place. But I often think about that being much further north, but when you get right down to it and you look at an actual map and stuff, they're not that far off the mountains than we are. And it's just,
Well, and it was fought over, it was argued over between the states of Pennsylvania and Virginia. So, my people were all from that kind of Morgantown, West Virginia part of the world. And when they went to war, they ended up going to Fort Pitt to sign up. But they farmed both the 8th Pennsylvania and the 13th Virginia right there at Fort Pitt. They were all the same boys from that part of the world, from Northern Virginia and Southwest Pennsylvania. And they're all hill people through that country. I mean, they were historically.
Tina said her granddad said yens, and he was from because that's what the ones that we were talking about. They even shortened it up more than we did down here. It was usually it was Ewans or it was just had a longer extra.
It was YOU apostrophe UN.
INS or whatever. And here they shortened it to just Y apostrophe INS, I guess, yens. And I've heard other people say that, and I didn't realize that was a thing in Pennsylvania. I don't know. I guess I just thought that was something hill folks said and didn't think about it. Again, my mom, I don't think my mom liked us using yuns, and seems like there was another one. It wasn't y'all, because everybody said y'all. I'll never forget the first time I heard somebody try to use the word y'all that wasn't from the South. And like I said, they were trying to use it as a singular noun or personal noun or whatever. And I remember saying, that ain't right. Well, they're saying that wrong. Ewans ain't for one person. Ewans is, I'm not Ewans, y'all. It's a multiple thing. It's plural. Has to be at least 2 to be y'all, and then like Mark said, y'all plus 3 is the Ewans. I can go by that. That's a good.
It's a formula.
It's a good formula. That's right. I like things with formulas.
It's like one of them algebra things.
Brenda, if you're still there, look what I did yesterday. Remember, I tried to get out of the house with a couple of Pepsis and before I got out of the house, I dropped one and said, well, can't use that one today. Well, I got out here and I dropped this one. So look what it did. It's all popped out. So I couldn't, in fact, it won't stand up. I have to set it upside down. It won't go on. I couldn't put it in the refrigerator just yet. Hopefully, maybe later I can drink it. These are the Pepsis I like now. They finally put a good label on. This is like the old-fashioned label, and they've got real sugar.
Where'd you get that kind of can?
Well, they just started doing these down here. They've gone back to the real sugar thing. When Pepsi first started selling real sugar again drinks, they called them throwbacks, and there was a Pepsi real sugar and a Mountain Dew real sugar. And the first time I tasted both of them, I said, "Damn, that's just like
that's what it used to taste like."
So I've been drinking these ever since when I get them, and
I
don't know, they're just so much better than cornstarch or corn sugar.
The people that bottle Pepsis and Cokes in Mexico
or sugar.
They all have real sugar. They're most of the labels in Spanish, but it always says at the bottom with real sugar or with cane sugar.
Well, the first
and they taste way better and they get colder. I don't know why I think that, but they sure seem like they're colder.
They do. They really do. Well, you can get, sometimes around here you can find Mexican Coke or Coke. I don't know about Pepsi from Mexico, but they've got real sugar in them when they sell them in the ethnic food sections of all things. Now, somebody from up north to answer me this question, if you know the answer. The first time I heard about some of the companies making real sugar soft drinks again, or maybe they never stopped in certain areas, was because of the Jewish population. If they're strictly Jew or kosher, kosher has to have real sugar in it. And so around certain seasons and different times of the year, they used to make Coke, I believe it was, and I'm sure Pepsi did it too. They made real sugar soft drinks for Passover or Hanukkah or something. And they were kosher, so it meant they were, blessed over by the rabbis. And the way you could tell them from anything else was they had a white cap on them. And I looked for years and years for a white cap Cokes down here, never found any. And I found out it's mainly, like in New York, a big city, a lot of places where there's a much larger Jewish population. We have to go. We have to go to Morris. That's the handicap of this is now we have to go to Morristown to find real sugar. The local stores they don't sell it.
They got just regular Pepsi.
Yeah, and go figure. I mean, you'd think they'd have been all over that. Especially the further this way we get, because Mountain Dew started in Johnson City.
I saw some classic old Mountain Dew commercials the other day.
Did you? What were you watching?
They were great. It just kind of popped up in my feed of some kind.
Yahoo! Mountain Dew.
Yeah, had these two little runt-looking hillboys, with their big hat on,
bib overalls,
and big hat and no shoes, and there was a gal that came into the picture that was taller than both of them combined and fairly voluptuous, and they were,
of course,
and she loved that Mountain Dew, and they had Mountain Dew.
Well, think about that stereotype right there. When they did the cartoon, now I can't think. Little Abner. Most of the guys were kind of like that. They were sort of depicted that way, but then Little Abner's girlfriend, who I can't remember now suddenly, she was tall, always had on high heels, and looked like Daisy Duke.
Yeah.
Long before Daisy Duke ever came out.
Yeah, exactly.
But she was always like that, and the rest of the men were always in bib overalls, barefoot.
Had a beard longer than yours.
Hang on, I got both of them going now. They must have finally caught
up. Sounds like a funeral dirge or something going.
Well, they don't have. I can't adjust the sound. That one is a newer clock, and I don't know what vintage. It's not terribly old, but it is a mechanical clock. It's not a battery operated, or I have to wind it up every few days. Actually, it's supposed to run. It says it'll run 31 days, but it won't. This one is what I have decided to call the Sensible clock, just to differentiate. This is one that came somewhere through my grandmother to my mother to me. And it's much, much older, and it has that much different gong. So the lower tone you're hearing, that one's a lot crisper. It's a different ring. This one is more tame, and this one's kind of neat because you can see the gong right there in front. Oh, it's not a gong as in a disc. It's a coil wire. It's bent and tuned to the right sound, and it's got a little hammer thing on another rod that comes down and strikes it. So I can sit here and watch it do its thing. I got to fix that today too. I need to do that. I might put screws in that thing. I got to fix my door. The door on it was about to fall off. I had finally found some screws to put in it. Actually, I had to buy Phillips. I still had to get Phillips. I didn't find any common.
We either have a big storm coming or it's going to be winter tomorrow.
Got bugs in the house.
The house flies have just invaded us like terrible. Over the last day, 24 hours. They are aggravating the heck out of me right now. Anyway,
they used to, I can remember when that used to be a problem at home. I'm trying to think I guess we'd have that too when it starts to get winter, all kinds of bugs come in the house. And then spring, the ants always show up. Absolutely drives my wife to distraction.
We get house flies and then deer mice.
Oh yeah, we get mice too. I bet we get.
If they show up here in the next day or two, I'm going to get the wool clothes back out.
I'm kind of curious to see what we get here mouse wise. I bet come winter, I bet we get some too more. I haven't seen one yet on the house or anything. Usually by now I would have seen, or the cats would have found one. We had some that got into the house where we were at, and you could always tell if there was one around because the cats would all be laying flat on their bellies in the kitchen looking under the stove, because that's where there was a place under the stove where they came through the wall till we blocked them up. And anyway, they'd be under the stove, and the cats would be laying there watching, so you can always tell if there was some activity going on. And we might not see the mouse for a day or two, and then we'd see it one morning. It'd be Teddy or Spooky was a hell of a mouser, and they'd have that mouse tormenting it, to playing with it. They didn't kill it. It wasn't so much fun to kill it. You couldn't bat it around and stuff. So they tend to play with them a long time. Kind of like tying somebody to stake, not quite cooking them, keeping the fire out nice and far so that they roast slowly.
Keep Colonel Crawford alive as long as you could.
Yeah, get fiery brands and poke in there once in a while and just burn a little hole in them.
My ancestor Philip Llewellyn was on that adventure.
On which one?
He's one of the lucky ones that made it home. Philip Llewellyn was his name.
On the Roberts thing up north?
He was the father-in-law Andrew Zorn's.
Yeah.
And he was on that Crawford expedition when they caught Crawford and burned him at the stake.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that in a long time. I'm trying to remember.
Well, they went over into the Ohio country, looking for the Hurons with the Wyandots.
Right.
And they got over there and they found them.
Only they got found. Yeah, they found them the hard way.
And Simon Girty and his brothers and the Wyandots turned the tides and they caught Crawford, who was a hero during the Revolution. He was a well-known soldier. But Philip, they just broke. They like scattered and went to the woods, and he made it home, but lots of them didn't. So
that was usually the game plan. If it became to the point where they were all going to be captured, they just split and they'd all make their own way home. Some would get there, some wouldn't.
Yep.
That sounded like a mouse trap.
No, it was a door.
Okay. When you were just talking about mice, and I heard that click, I thought that sounded like a trap.
Well, Caitlin was in there brushing her teeth the other night. We got one in the bathroom that's been a real producer, and we were catching like one or two a day in that one for a while. And she was in there brushing her teeth the other night, and I heard the trap go off, and I was like, I didn't know if she'd had something happen or what. And she came in holding the trap up.
I'm surprised she didn't catch it live and put it in her room.
Jar.
She had that one that you guys had last winter came around and climbed up on people. Watched TV with you, as I recall.
He came in and sat and watched the Bills game with us.
Yeah.
And because Josh Allen was a Wyoming, University of Wyoming guy, and he sat there on the dog bed and watched the part of the game, and then the dog came over and laid down on the bed, and he just crawled up on the dog. And then he ended up coming across the living room and crawled up my pants leg and went up and sat on my shoulder.
Yeah, that's what.
And Caitlin put him in a terrarium thing, and we had him for a few days. Well, actually, she just had him in there in her room, he was just free ranging.
Yes, Tina, we're talking about a mouse, a country mouse kind of thing, a deer mouse, I guess.
Yeah, it was a deer mouse.
And it was.
We probably all got to haunt about it.
I mean, the dogs weren't even bothering it. Like he said, it laid on the dog.
He was just hanging out like he was our buddy, and then.
That was funny. I'm pretty sure I've got a picture of that somewhere.
Well, there's a picture. There's a photo of me with him sitting on my shoulder.
That's what I mean. I don't know. She might have put that on Facebook, but I know I've seen it.
Anyway,
what time is it? Well, the clock said it was noon, didn't it? Last week, I think it was last week after you left, you had to go, you went exploring, and me and somebody else sat here until about 2:00, I think, just talking. Tina says, "Yikes, I used to have pet mice, not now, they're vermin." Vermin. You don't hear that term a lot anymore. Vermin.
I sent out a deal on Facebook about random creatures that were showing up in August. Had a picture of some moose and a beaver and a video of a beaver and me with a bunch of crawfish in a trap. And that's what Spanky Comer said. Look at all them vermin.
Look at all them vermin. Have you had any run-ins with cats or coyotes lately? I mean, as in see tracks or anything around your place?
No.
Or hear them? I'm really surprised I haven't heard any coyotes. Well, actually, I thought I did once, but I really thought I'd hear coyotes out here a lot more. Maybe they're hunted out here enough that there's a lot, and there's not any out here. But
well, we
I'm
don't
really surprised.
We get. You see a coyote in Wyoming, he's looking over his shoulder and running as hard as he can the other way. Yeah. Usually, we saw a red fox the other day, and he was doing the same thing. Just he was down in some badlands and took off running at quite the distance, and oh, you've been shot at before.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was on that day, last Saturday, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, did you find you went out looking? I think you said you found some fish scales or something. Is that about all you picked up, or wasn't anything earth shattering?
Nothing earth shattering.
I'm gonna guess, Tina, you took care of that visitor we had. Somebody did. Thank you. I started to say hi. What am I doing? My fingers are not to be trusted today. They're clicking everything. Now I can't find I've lost my keyboard. All right, bear with me just a minute. I don't need to deal with it. I don't need it anyway. Oh, I asked you a question and I was rude and talked over you. But did you say you did or didn't find anything new and exciting?
No.
Do any of those? Well, I guess you could, but I mean, do any of those areas out there where there's lots of fossils or pieces, or you find much activity from early hominids, or any chips or arrow points or anything, or is that other areas? That may not have made any sense the way I said that.
Early hominids?
Well,
No, we didn't have. There were no early hominids here.
well, I meant
There were Homo sapiens when they got here,
right.
full blown ones. We
Well,
don't have no Bigfoot.
now, Mike is not
They're going to have
convinced.
to show me a carcass.
Yeah, there you go. That would do it. Not just a hide. An empty hide could be.
Or a live one. They're going to have to show me one.
Yeah. And with me being there live too, I don't know. I'm not talking about.
I got friends that say that they know people that have seen 8 or 10 of them or whatever, and I'm like, yeah, it went under that limb over there. It was that tall. It's that.
And you had the rough
How
talk.
come it's never like a dude that like has a PhD in physics or something like that? It's like tornadoes and trailer parks.
Well, I don't know if I told you this story or not, but my buddy Steve Cottrell and my other buddy Wes James, who were at TVA back in the golden days, and they were back over there doing all that wildlife work long before I got to go to work there. But they went on they used to get to go to things like Wildlife Society meetings. Hell, they were probably doing presentations there. Actually, we did that a little bit, but they went to a big one. I think it was in Louisiana somewhere, because they talked about it because they had big crawfish boil down every time they go down there, and everybody have a big time. And but I believe that's where he said they were at one time, and the conversation, I have no doubt it was probably fueled by alcohol at some point, but the conversation turned to Wampus cats. And that term Wampus cat, depending on where you're from, can mean a lot of different things. And so somebody got to talking about Wampus cats. And they were like, you know what? We're from somewhere else. And we hear about these Wampus cats, and we ain't never seen one. By God, let's go find one. And somebody they knew said, oh yeah, my cousin Red, he's shot several of them. He can tell you right where they're at. Well, you go see. So they struck off in a vehicle and started driving. And Uncle Red said, no, that was my cut buddy James down there. He's the one that has had a Wampus cat or two in his yard. And so they go see Buddy James, and he'd say, oh, no. He said, that's real. He said, they're a real thing. He said, you can go up here and ask Joe or ask Henry over the ridge there. They have them in their chicken house all the time. I mean, they just went.
They sent them on a wild Wampus chase.
Well, these guys would,
they was hunting snipe.
But exactly. And you never know. Some of these guys believe some of these people really believe it. There is such a thing. And when you get to the truth, they always have to say, well, no, I didn't see it, but my buddy did. And I believe him because he never told me a stretcher. I'm sure that's true. They went from house to house, and they never did find one on a stretching board or anything. But there was always somebody up the road that had a hide or had a, they could prove it. Oh yeah, they're real things.
Oh, I sold that years ago.
Do what?
I sold that years ago.
Oh yeah, exactly. There's always some reason why the Wampus cat wasn't there. It's a little bit like Bigfoot, I'm thinking. You never actually see him there. Nobody's ever been able to let me pet one.
Just one clear photograph.
Do what?
Just one clear photograph.
Well, that would help, yeah, but because there's never been one of those either. Even videos aren't.
Even with AI, they haven't come up with a good clear photograph.
Well, now that you've thrown that out there, somebody probably
I
does.
see more stupid photos now. Tornadoes in the Grand Teton National Park. And,
I've seen
stuff that people are just clearly making up. And it's like, but they're selling it as it's a real thing.
Yeah, and people are starting to. I read somewhere that like some of the social media groups are trying to insist that people mark pictures as AI created, not to say, because you see something and the picture looks amazing in its own right, but it's, like you're saying, it's a giant thunderstorm just in the very bottom of the Grand Canyon down by the ranch down there or whatever, and it just it's just this big god awful storm of the century, and it's all made up, but the picture looks pretty damn real until you really study them. You can figure them out, but usually, but as they get better and better, I don't know. We may not be able to tell anything. It's
Well, when it looks too good to be true, it is.
yeah. Well, yeah, that's like my lawn. Speaking of that, I uncovered a scam last week on the local Facebook marketplace. I'm always looking for the next great deal on a bookcase or something, because I still need a couple of bookcases. But anyway, there was a John. We're trying to decide about the lawnmower thing, and I saw a John Deere lawnmower that was a few years old, but it looked really clean. And in fact, it looked like they just washed it, and it was for sale, and the price was, of course, too good to be true. But I checked on it, and this is how these scams work. You contact the seller online or wherever they're at, and they send you back a little bit of information, but then they tell you, well, it's not really mine, it's my aunt's. So I'll give you her email, and you just send her an email, and she'll tell you where to come look at it, and she'll send you more pictures and all this stuff. Well, so I did that, and I got back this little email about long talking about how, yeah, she was just getting rid of it. She was not, they couldn't use it anymore, and it belonged to her dad, and her dad had passed away, so she just wanted to get rid of it because it just reminded her too much of her dad, so she was going to let it go. But we would have to go through eBay to buy it, and she said we got it set up on eBay, so you go through eBay. That way we don't have to worry about money handling, and everybody's real. Which I immediately said, my bullshit alarm went off big time, because I've been down that. I've not been down. I've learned about that through chasing a couple other ones that way and finding out, they're not real, because that's one of the first clues. Because there apparently, if you do it right, you can set up an account like that, a fake account through eBay that supposedly is guaranteed on both ends, but it's really not. And what they do is they're giving you, or somehow they're doing it where you end up sending the money, but there's nothing on the other end. You don't get your lawnmower, you own it, because she also said, yeah, if you've got cash and you're ready to go, he said, I'll talk to you. Well, I kind of knew right then, because she was pushing but then she said, but you got to go through this I can't remember what they call it, eBay guaranteed purchase program or something. And I actually contacted eBay about that once to see just what that was. Well, it's not real, it's made up. And so anyway, here's this nice lawnmower local. Well, it was actually in Knoxville, but it was in the Facebook, nearby. And I just wonder how many people they get. I wonder how many times they've sold that damn lawnmower before they got it. But I sent a bunch of stuff. I knew what was going on. I figured it out real quick. And so I turned them in there by Facebook and eBay. I haven't seen any more signs. That lawnmower disappeared like that. I mean, it was on there and then it was gone. And there was no thing that said, oh, this lawnmower's now been purchased. It just disappeared.
Well, I'm gonna get off here, brother.
Yeah, I figured it's about that time. My voice, I'm about through talking. I don't know why, but I can't get, my voice is just going to hell. My life as a voiceover actor may be over.
Well, I'll be talking like
My
this.
career, well, unless I can find that, yeah, if I can find that part, I can keep, they might, talk like, I'd be looking for a hillbilly who's had too much tobacco and drank too much white liquor and it's burned out his vocal cords. I could probably play that part. All right, guys, it's been a lot. I mean, I hope you guys are going to have stuff. Mark, have a great day. I'll talk to you in a day or two.
You too.
I'm about to get my mojo back, so you may be getting something out of me here before long. I just got to sit down and put it together. But we'll see. I'm trying. I'm really trying. But I can't. I can't force it, because if I force it, it just won't happen. But I don't want to force it. I'm not wanting to force it. I'm really wanting to do it. I just got to get there. But anyway, everybody that's left, have a great Saturday. I hope you have a good weekend. I don't know if there's anything coming up, but make up for yesterday. Go hug a book or two. We can call it officially on this station, our YouTube channel. We can declare this as a hug your book weekend, because we like our books. Oh, I didn't read Madonna. Don't go yet. I got to read one. I got to read one.
I'm going to have to. I got to eat.
Okay, well, you go eat. And
I didn't eat this morning, and you're killing me, Smalls.
Well, I hadn't had anything to eat either, except I had tapioca pudding. Okay, I'll save that for another week.
We'll read that next time. Start the show out with that.
I might do it. Maybe I'll do that.
Or you could read that poem I sent you from Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. You didn't get it, did you? You didn't open it.
Where'd you send it to me at?
On the Facebook.
Well, I'll have to go back and look, so I don't know if I did or not.
It's about arrows, man. I shot an arrow into the air.
Oh, no, I missed that. I got to go. When did you send that to me? I'll find it. I'll read it. I'll look for it and read it.
It's a good one. It's only 3 paragraphs, or 3, whatever you call, like the paragraph in a poem. Stanza. It's 3 little deals. But anyway.
They're still firing up here. Once in a while it comes back. Not all the time, but every once in a while. All right, guys. Love y'all. Take care, Mark. See you soon, brother. Talk to you soon. And there he goes. He's off and he's gone. Thanks, guys, for hanging around, putting up with me. I'll get my act together. Maybe my head will be clear next week and I can actually do a halfway decent show. It's probably no wonder nobody else shows up for my shows, because they hear me one time and they think this guy's an idiot. Anyway, you guys have a great weekend. Tina, I didn't see Chuck today. I hope he's okay. Tell him we said hi, and if he's not feeling well or something, I hope he gets better soon. And who else might be left? Kay's hanging around. Kay, thanks for being here. Have a great weekend, you too. I don't know if Carol had to leave. I missed some, so she might have had to go. And Maple Bacon's gone. I never did see Diana. Anyway, thanks, guys. Have a great weekend. Thanks a lot. We'll talk about something new next week. Still always open for ideas. If you got an idea you want to talk about, we can probably figure it out. Anyway, see you real soon. Bye-bye.